I get a lot of inspiration from this ArtStation page from Smirnoff School, and this is just a fantastic page of a school that teaches 2D and 3D art or design, and we are going to model this device. I don't know if this is a Scifi container or some kind of an explosive device, but it's one of their designs, and I modeled it, and I'll provide the reference for what I've done, and you can follow along with me. It's nice and easy, and it's fun to do. So once you're in Blender, just hit A and delete everything. And I'm going to turn on the move. I like to use that. I'm going to press 1 to look from the front view, and then I'm going to load that reference image. So just go ahead and download it from the description. So there it is. I'm going to press S3, make it nice and big. Press G to grab, and I'm going to move this over to right about there. All right, it comes in as something called the empty. There's the reference image. We're going to model against this. All right, so here we go. Let's press Shift A, mesh, cylinder, and let's use 20 vertices. And that's good enough right there. All right, I'm going to go into edit mode by pressing Tab and Z for wireframe. And I'm going to press S to scale, and I'm going to move my reference image just a little bit. So I'm going to go tab back to object mode and click on the empty, and I'm going to press GX. Just move it just a little bit so that my cylinder fits it a little bit better. I think I'll also turn and pull it back in the Y so that my object is in front of it. Press 1, click on my object, go into edit mode, and we're ready to go. All right, I'm going to move this up a little bit. Alt-A to deselect. I'm going to go into, say, B to box select and pull these down. And zoom in to about there, press S to scale. And we'll do this. Okay, let's press E to extrude, pull up to this edge, S to scale, pull it up. And by the way, you can hold down Shift to move a little bit slower. So we'll get it like that. E to extrude, pull up to here, S to scale. And it doesn't have to be perfect, just make something cool. E to extrude, let's pull up to around here. Let's stop at that point, select it all, and let's copy this for the top. Shift D, pull it up, rotate X 180 degrees, and pull it up. And let's pull it up until, let's see, let's go to about there. Now it may be easier if we pull it to there so that this edge lines up here. Right about there. Okay, let's deselect. Let's Shift and Alt and click that edge. And we'll pull it to the bottom here. Because what we're going to do is we're going to cut this part away. Shift Alt and click here. Pull it down. S to scale. Pull it in. Now we have to do some interesting stuff on the top. So let's do this. Let's Shift and Alt and click there. Shift and Alt and click there. X vertices and delete them. And we'll have this. Now, if we look at the top, you can see that it comes in, sort of angles down, and there's a lower section. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. We're going to press, I'm going to turn this a little bit. And I'll go into solid view. So this part we're just going to eyeball. E and S, we're going to pull it in like this. E and come down a little ways, and S to scale. And do that. So we've created this part now. We're going to dip down further. E, come down like that. E and S to scale it in. And we're going to do that. And then we're going to start making the other part that comes up. Let's go back into 1. and wireframe. And we've got that selected. I want to create this cylinder, so let's press S to come out just a little bit more, and then start coming up. E, pull up. That's not bad, but if we wanted to get it more exact, let's press Control plus, and we have just that section there. I'll show you what we've got. We've got that part. All right, you can see we're a little bit off. Let's press scale, but not in the Z direction, just in the X and Y. S, Shift Z, pull it out a little bit, and then we're ready to go again. So Shift and Alt to click that edge. I'll go back to the wireframe. E and S to come out to there. E up to there. S. E to there. E up to there, and S. And let's have a look at what the top does. It does a similar thing as the bottom does. So let's angle it a little bit. E and S, come in a little bit. E, come down like that. Press S to scale. We're going to come down again. E, come down a bit. And then we're going to close it off by going E and S, scale in a bit, and then I'm going to press F to make a face. That's not going to be a problem there. Okay, so we have that. We are going to need to make these hollow. So let's select that face and this face, and I just switched over to face selection for that. X faces. So they're hollow. And now we're going to create this part that goes up. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to, in edge selection number 2, select this edge, hold down Shift, this one, and this one. And I'm going to press E to extrude and pull it up. Pull it up to around there. Go into wireframe, and we're going to cut right here. I'm going to go Control R, bring an edge loop, click, and drag it to about there. All right, I'm going to come back into solid view. In face selection, I'm going to select these faces. I'm holding down Shift and selecting those faces, X faces, and I will have that. And if I put on a subdivision surface now, Control 2, I start to get this. So let's start working on sharpening this up. We'll go back into edit mode. And I'm going to start bringing in edge loops. Control R, click, and I'm going to drag an edge loop close to this edge. I'm not going to put it right on top. I'm just bringing it close. Control R, drag an edge loop down here. Maybe this one, I went Shift and Alt. I get to come a little closer. I usually do pretty much an equal distance on both sides of the edge. All right, I'm going to come down here. Drag an edge loop down here and up there. Let's have a look. See, we're starting to delineate that. Let's click on our object and shade smooth. You can start to see what we're getting. Let's stay up near the top here and just drag edge loops wherever we want to start sharpening an edge. See that? Another one here and another one there. Often I'll put an edge on the top and the bottom of another edge, but not always. And then for this part, I think I'll just put an edge loop here and drag it out. I may just leave that as it is. That's pretty good. Let's work our way down though. Let's bring an edge loop up to the top of this and down. And in fact, this may be one of those cases where I don't want another edge loop underneath there. Just that. At the bottom of this stalk, we'll bring an edge loop down. Let's do that again. Pull that down. And on the inside, let's pull an edge in here. And I just keep going back into object mode to see how it's going. Let's drag an edge loop up to the top of this and on this side of it as well. And let me drag one up. A little hard to see there. And we'll have that. I may even drag one down. Just sharpens it up and makes it look a little bit nicer. Where am I? Let's drag one down. And there we go. Start to look good. Drag an edge loop here and here. That's all I need on that for the moment. So let's have a look at the bottom. Now, I'm going to go into face selection and select this and eye to insect. And that essentially puts another edge on the other side of this edge. And I'll bring another one down here, like that. I'm going to bring an edge loop down. And I'll bring an edge loop in here and out there. I don't want this too sharp, so that's fine there. An edge loop up to here and down. And that, I think, pretty much gives us the bottom part. Okay. Now what we're going to do is go into edit mode and A to select everything. And I'm going to press E and Alt S and I'm going to pull. And that's going to pull everything in. Now, I'm going to do that again just so I can see better. Look on an edge. So I press E and Alt S and pull in until you get the thickness that you think you want. I'm not necessarily looking at the 3D model. I'm actually looking at this cube-like part there. So I'm going to do that again. And go for maybe something like that. Now, because of the subdivision surface, I can't really see the thickness very well. So I'm going to press Control R there. And I'm going to press Control R there. So I've got an edge right in the middle. I'm going to shift and click that one as well. And then I'm going to press Control B to bevel and pull. And I'm going to separate those out. Now let's go to look at that. All right. With that done, let's move up to the top. There's a cylinder here. To bring it in the right place, I'm going to select this face and Shift S, cursor to select it, to bring the 3D cursor there. Now I'm going to bring in a cylinder, mesh cylinder. I'm going to choose 18 vertices and leave all the other values the same. Edit mode and scale. Bring it up a little bit. And let's rotate this. Rotate Y 90. I'll go into wireframe. S to scale. Move it down a little bit. S to scale. Let's start with that. And then we'll go back into solid view and deselect, and in 3 face selections, select both those ends. Let's press I to inset, pull it in just a little bit, look from the front, and press E and SX, scale in the X, and pull out. With those still selected, let's Control B to bevel, pull back, give it one segment, deselect, and then Shift and Alt and click in number 2 edge selection, these edges, and do the same thing. Just like that. I'm going to press Control 1 and shade smooth. That puts one subdivision and makes it nice and smooth. Now, I don't know how well you can see, but there's a little piece of the cylinder that attaches underneath there to this piece here. So we'll do that, but I'm going to do it from the top. I'm going to press 7 to look from the top, go into edit mode, and I am going to select, that's the middle. So I'm going to select Shift this one and Shift click this one. Now I'm not sure I want it coming out right to the edge. Let me have a look at that. I think it's probably fine anyhow though. So I'm just going to press E and gesture upwards or extrude upwards. And I'm going to straighten this out, so SZ0 and X faces to delete those. Control R to bring an edge loop in, and I'll tighten this up a little bit. Just like that. If you want, you can straighten that SZ0. Not really important though. Alright, so I have that piece. I can also come in here and Control R and then Control B to bevel and roll my mouse back to 0, so I have just those 2 edges as I pull outwards, and that sort of straightens this out a bit and still leaves me my cylinder. Alright, let's go back into edit mode. and RX 180. Rotate X 180 degrees to face it downwards. We'll push it down. We'll have a look and see. We're a little bit off the diagram, so we'll come back up, and I'll select this bottom edge. Shift Alt and click this bottom edge, and just pull it in. Deselect. Go back, and we have that. Let's make the little handle part here, or key part, whatever it is. We're going to bring it to plane. Rotate X90. I'll drag it up and I'll scale it down a bit, and we'll go into wireframe, and we'll sort of match this shape S till it's a square like that. Okay, to make these notches, we'll press 1 for vertex selection and Shift Control B to bevel this time, and just pull until it's something like that. That's pretty close. Let's go back in object mode. We have to give this some thickness now, so I'm going to press E to extrude and just give it some thickness like this until you like the thickness, really. Select it all. I can look from the side and just pull it in. Okay, let's look from the front and pull the whole thing up just a little bit. Okay, and to make the hole, let's go back into solid view and press 3 for face selection and select that face and that face, and we'll look from the front. Now I'm going back in the wireframe. I'm going to press I to inset. Keep pulling till you get a central region, a little bit like that. So a little bit off the diagram. Okay, let's go back into solid view. So I've got those selected still. Let's go Control E and bridge edge loops, and that'll create the hole and fill it in there for us. I'm going to select the whole thing, and I really want it central on this cylinder here. So, you know, it might be off the diagram a little bit, but that's okay. Okay, almost done this part, so let's press 2 for edge selection and Shift Alt and click all of these outer edges here. And we'll bevel these. Control B, pull. I'm going to put a couple segments in there. So we've got that, and then Shift Alt and click all of these edges. And we'll do the same. Bevel, just Control B, just pull a little bit. Just round it out, smooth it out a bit. Okay. Now we're going to shade smooth this, shade smooth, and we may have some shading errors, so I'm going to come over to the modifiers and then bevel, just let it sit the way it is. Weighted normal and normal auto smooth. In fact, we could probably actually get rid of the bevel and we'll be just fine like that. Before we go any further, let's look at face orientation. You'll notice some of this is red, so I'm just going to select the main body, Alt N, recalculate outside, and then turn that off. All my polys are facing the right way. I can hide that empty for now. Let's come in here, and we already shade smooth that. We still need to do the central little glass part, so come in and select an edge that goes all the way around, essentially a circle. Shift D and pull it up out of the way, S to scale a bit. P, choose selection, we'll break it out so it's now a separate object. Okay, I'm going to hide the subdivision for now. Let's pull it down. Make sure it looks like it's a piece of glass that would fit. Alright, we'll just pull it below and then E to extrude, pull it up and pull it above there. I could turn that back on. In fact, I could probably get away with one subdivision and shade smooth. And we have that. Okay, almost done. This part is a little bit sharp in my mind, so I'm just going to slide this down. And this one, I can't just pull it up like that. So to move it away from this edge, I'm going to press GG, which is edge sliding. It'll slide it along these edges. G, G, and then just push with your mouse in the interface. Just to separate them a bit. It's not quite so sharp. And that's fine. You can do that for any of the ones you want. There is another detail that we need on here, and that's some bolts right here. I'm going to select a circle, any circle, and just reuse it. Shift D and pull it up. S to scale. Let's move it out right now. P to break it out. There we go, separate object. RX90 from the front. Scale it down. G. Scale it. Okay, we can go ahead and have a look at the empty as well and see. Well, because we're a little bit off the diagram, I'm pretty much going to put that whatever works for me. So let's go here, turn that back off. Press the period key to focus on that. Let's press F to make a face, E to extrude, pull it back, and X delete those faces, and then take this front face and just maybe Control B. I'll have one segment. I've still got subdivision. I'm sure I could get away with just one, and shade smooth, and we'll bring that in. Press the period key to focus in on that. Bring that in like that. And because the 3D cursor is right in the middle here, I can mirror this in the X and in the Y, and I'll get them on the front. And if I don't get them on the back properly, I'm going to set the origin to the 3D cursor. In fact, what I'll do is I'll take this and I'll Shift S, cursor to selected, and I'll set the origin to the 3D cursor on that. So it mirrors around this object here. Let's make sure, see those bolts down. Alt N, recalculate outside. Very nice. We can go just a little bit further, turn on a matte cap, switch over to object, switch this to both, and drag these values up like that. Choose part of your model, come over here on the square there, scroll down to viewport display, change this to like a green color and lower the alpha so it's somewhat see-through. To make it a bit more like glass, we have a subdivision on. We can add solidify, pull it so that it goes inwards, and you can start to see the other part there. You don't make it too thick, but something like that. So that simulates glass. We'll select this part of the body, come down, choose, just make it dark, let's say. Do it something like that. All right, if you want to reuse that, I'm going to click here, click on hex, click on there, Control C. I'll come up here, and I'm pretty much going to do the same thing. Control V there. I will do that one. Control V, and I'll leave those bolts like that so you can see them. And we have a cool sci-fi kind of container. All right, if we want to have this neck region maybe a different color, I could separate this out, make it another piece, and I probably would end up doing that. So to show you that part, I think what I'll do is select a bit and Control L. That's select linked just for this upper piece, and I'm going to press P, break it out, and then just focus on this. So select it and slash key. Now I'm just going to look at this part here. I'm going to come in here now, and I'm going to Shift Alt and click these faces, and Shift Alt and click these faces. I will turn off the subdivision for now and just look at how much I've selected. So this goes all the way down to there and all the way up to the top. Not quite. Shift Alt and click those. So that's going to be my middle cylinder. So I'm going to break that out. P, separate by selection. So I now have that. And I could leave it like that with the subdivision on. Or I could make it sort of protrude through, but I think that's probably fine. So let's take this now and come over to here and just change the color to something that you like, and slash key to bring everything else back, and we now have colors on everything. Whether or not we put something in here or texture it more is yet to be seen. All right, so there is our device. I hope you enjoyed modeling that and it was simple enough. Thanks for watching and see you again soon.